Hi, this is Bruce Buffer, and you're listening to the Brats and Beard Podcast.
Welcome back, Tailgaters. I'm very excited to announce our guest this week. She is a very accomplished sports media personality, and you've definitely seen her on some of the Fox Sports shows, The Joy Taylor Show, Speak, The Herd with Colin, Cowherd, and Skip and Shannon, Undisputed. She also has her own podcast, Maybe I'm Crazy, and yesterday was her birthday. So please help me wish her a happy birthday and welcome Joy Taylor to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've been at Fox for 7 years now.
Oh, wow. That's any plans on leaving, or are you good for at least short term there?
That's what you're leading with, just that scoop.
just the big announcements. Let's get them over with.
No, I'm gonna be here for a while. Obviously, we just launched Speak at the beginning of this football season, so very excited about how the show has gone, and I'm gonna be here for a while.
And you just turned 25 yesterday, so still nice and young, you know.
No, you know what? I'm not an ageist. I'm 36. It's on Google anyway, so there's no point in lying about it. But I also don't. I think it's weird, like when people are like, oh my. As soon as I turned 36, everyone was like, oh my God, you're almost 40. I was like, I'm actually not almost 40. I'm 36, so I have 4 years, which is quite a significant amount of time before I'm 41. But also, it's a blessing to grow old. Like, it's a good thing to get older. So I don't know what like everyone's so afraid of. I'm like, I guess maybe if like you're not doing what you want to do at a certain age, that can cause, some anxiety about getting older. But like getting older in itself, like another year of life, is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm fine. I'm 36. I feel good about it. I'll be all right.
I saw your 36 Instagram post, so I figured you weren't too shy about it. So
thank you.
So a couple just questions right off the bat. So I mean, I know obviously you've done some work with Skip and Shannon. How many headaches on average do you have to deal with, and how many like ibuprofens are you popping per week?
Well, actually, on that show, when I was doing that show, which was, I started on that show almost 6 years ago. It was such a different lifestyle altogether. We kind of joke about it because I have the same hair and makeup crew that worked on that show that works with me now on Speak, and we had to get up at 3:20 in the morning. They had to get up earlier than me, but I had to get up at 3:20 in the morning to get to work for the 4:00 meeting on the lot.
Wow.
To do that show. So 3:20, I don't even, like 3:20 is the middle of the night, really. It's not the morning. Nobody gets up at 3:20 in the morning. It's the middle of the night. And then we would do the show, and then the show would be over at 9. And then I would come home and I would take a nap and sleep till like noon. And then go to the gym or like run whatever errands I need to run that day, and then watch whatever game is on that I need to watch, and then go back to sleep and be in bed, like not getting in bed, like us, like with the covers on, like, okay, it's night at 9 p.m. every night of the week. So it was just such a routine, and you had to do a routine or you just wouldn't survive. It's too early of a show. It's too in your face of a show, high energy. Like there's no being hungover. There's not really a whole lot of being sick. So it was just a surreal, like I always joke, like I blacked out. Like I don't know how. I just went into this like, okay, like I'm just gonna click my brain into this other mode of just being a machine during the week, because your whole life just revolves around sleep. So the schedule alone for doing that show is just such a different lifestyle. Even from doing like a different lifestyle from doing Herd, and certainly now, because my show now is much later in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But working with Skip and Shannon, particularly when I started on the show, because I started on the show when we launched the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very big deal that Skip had left First Take and ESPN and come to FS1. And now we have Colin and we have Skip, and now Shannon is here. And, it's just Shannon's first venture into this, opinion space. He'd obviously done television, but not this type of show. So it was a very big deal just around the business. And it was a big launch, multiple commercials and Morris Chestnut and, all this marketing stuff. And we went to New York and we went to the US Open and we went to the, NBA finals and the Super Bowl. And so it was just a really big show, the Mayweather McGregor fight. And it was a great experience for me. And we also just had a lot of fun because it was, everything kind of aligned. The Cowboys went on that crazy streak where they won all those games in a row. And, it was really a fun time. The interesting thing about doing that show for me when I was doing it was, there is such a formula to doing a debate show. You have to really have to do that show a certain way. And that it's very much more technical, I guess, than I think people watching the show would realize, because you got to hit certain breaks and like they'll just go on, they'll just keep going and going. We got to do a commercial here, like I gotta put a pin in it, like we'll do another show tomorrow. So you have to be when you're in studio, it's obviously a little different when you're doing it remote, but when you're in studio you have to be really engaged with both of them when you're doing the show. So I think it was a different show when we first launched, and it was fun. I really enjoyed my time working on that show, and it really helps me doing live television, and especially doing all those remote shows that we did where stuff is just not going to go the way it's supposed to go. And, you have a controlled environment in studio. So it was a great experience for me.
That's awesome. Do you have any, like, I guess out of all the shows that you've worked on and are currently working on, do you have any that, like, I don't want to say are your favorite to do? Obviously, having like your own show, your own podcast, things like that are pretty awesome. So I'm sure you might favor those a little more. But do you have like either favorite like episodes or like guests that have been on, or I guess take me through that.
Or like that viral moment.
The first. All those shows that I mentioned on Undisputed, we were like on the road for Undisputed, which was really cool, just to get out and do shows in different environments, doing shows from Erin Hills for the US Open, and then doing the McGregor shows, and the Super Bowl shows are always really fun too. And then also just kind of sharpens your experiences, because it can get, when you're doing a daily show, like I said, it's very routine. So it shakes you up a little bit, to go and do a show like that type of show in front of an audience where, it might be raining, or like there's just like stuff going on and the printer's not working or whatever. It really develops you as a personality and as a host. And, my background was mostly in radio before I came to FS1. I did work with CBS Sports, but that was also in studio. So those shows were always really fun with Undisputed. With Herd, we went through a lot of crazy stuff. My time on the Herd, I was there for 3 years. Obviously we did 4 months of 3 hours a day with no sports during the pandemic, which was crazy.
Brutal.
Yeah. I still don't know. I don't remember what we talked about. Colin and I joke about it sometimes, and I say the same thing. I'm like, I just blacked out. Like, I don't know what we did. The Herd is a very long show for television. Like most television shows are not 3 hours long. So to fill that much time when you don't have any games, and we didn't take any time off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was really crazy. And that also, I think in the end, it helped Colin and I do a better show together, because we really had to trust each other, and we weren't in studio together either for that time. So yeah,
that's like the most unique experience that you could possibly have.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Especially when it's something like that where there's that feedback between the two of you. So if you're not in studio and the vibe's just not there, just that remote thing, it's something that you had to learn, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and we kind of had to learn. You have to learn the technology too. Like, you have to learn how much of a delay. You really listen to each other's cadence, because when you're in studio, the cadence matters also, when to jump in, when someone's finishing a thought. You develop that the more that you do a show with someone. But when it's, over this, you kind of got to give an extra little pause, so you don't speak over each other. And yeah, that was a whole, I had my computer up, and then I had a separate computer with him on Skype so that he could see me, so he could see my reactions, because I could see him, but he couldn't see me. And then I was using the radio equipment to do the show because it's a radio show. So the audio needed to go through the at-home radio equipment. It couldn't go through Skype because of the delay and the air quality. It was like, oh my God. When they were like, we can go back in studio, I was like, I'm good. Put me in studio. I'm ready.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So when you're, I mean, I guess like being like a media personality, like, do you ever think about how much is cancel culture like in the back of your head? Like, I mean, at any given moment, somebody can be canceled for some little slip up. I know obviously there was some stuff with Skip and Shannon going on. Obviously, that wasn't necessarily cancel culture type of thing, but definitely controversy there. I guess how much of that is in the back of your head as you're kind of like going through these shows or your podcasts?
I think the reality that you can become the main character of the day, like that's sort of the thing. Like, you guys have all seen the tweet, like Twitter as a main character every day. The goal is to not be that main character. I think restraints when you're doing any type of show or any type of platform is important to have. Like, the balance of being authentic and being yourself and giving your thoughts in a way that is respectful and nuanced, particularly with what we do, because there's lots of shows that people are completely unhinged, and that's just what the show is. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about real human beings who are doing things at the highest level that they can be done at. So I think there's a certain level of respect that you should maintain with that anyway. You know, I feel very proud about what I've done with my career and the position that I'm in. And, you know, I feel pretty safe in those accomplishments, but I also respect that, you know, these are 1%ers of, you know, people. The worst guy in the league is still 1,000 million times better than the best college player. You know, like, that's just, there is some level of awareness that you have to have about that. And just when we're giving opinions about things that aren't necessarily on the field, that you're still talking about human beings at the end of the day. So I've always maintained that reality and respect whenever I'm speaking, but it's also, it's you can step in it. You know, nobody's perfect. We're doing live shows. You can get emotional, or you can say something that you wouldn't necessarily, you'd maybe want back. And that happens because that's what we do, is we give our opinion. But I think with cancel culture, and I have lots of thoughts about cancel culture. we could do the whole, you know, interview about that. But I think it's more about consequences than it is necessarily canceling. I think nobody wants to be dragged. Like, that's fair. Like, nobody wants to be dragged, and that's understandable. But sometimes there's accountability that has to be taken for things that you say. And sometimes it's like, well, the people that are mad have a right to be mad about what you said or what you've done. And I think as public figures in general, you're held to a different standard because you have a platform. And I don't like using the word fair. I know I just said it, but I don't like using the word fair because life isn't fair. And there's exchanges, you know, like, if you don't want people to listen to what you say, don't speak on a platform. You know? So it is, I will say, like, it is there, but I don't think it's a bad thing to be aware of what it is you're saying. I don't like the idea that you should be able to say and do whatever you want and no one's allowed to have a reaction to it. That's more of my, like, that's my nuance level to the cancel culture conversation, is if you say something that I don't like, you're free to say what it is you said. But am I also not free to not like what you said? And am I also not free to be like, okay, well, I don't like him anymore because of what he said, so I'm not going to buy his salsa, you know? I don't like him anymore. So like, that's the part where I always get into the, like, I get stuck with people who are so anti anybody saying anything that they're offended about. I'm like, I don't understand. You're free. I'm free. We're both just free. You're free to say it, but then I'm not free to not like it. Why does the freedom stop with what you said and done? That's the part that confuses me. Now, what I don't like is this mob mentality of, oh, everyone's just dumping on this person, so let me jump in too, even though I don't really feel compelled or offended or engaged with what's going on. That part I find to be ridiculous. But you know, I don't live with the idea that there's no accountability for anything.
Yeah. And I think Twitter's kind of ruined that too. I mean, anybody can say anything and get away with anything on Twitter. And that definitely brings out the mob mentality in everyone. Once somebody says something or retweets
you get those
something.
Twitter eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
those
look,
Twitter eggs in your mentions.
The internet has had a lot of great effects on society, and it has had a lot of terrible effects on society. So I think everyone, no matter who you are, you have to find the line that you want to walk with social media and with the internet, and how you want to approach the feedback that you get on there. Because really, as humans, we're not designed to get this much feedback about ourselves. We're just not. We're not supposed to be told 10,000 times a day how beautiful we are. Just like we're not supposed to be told 10,000 times a day that we're hideous and belong, you know, on some island somewhere. Like it's just not. It's not normal to hear this much about yourself, positive or negative. And that's why I think it's best to just kind of ignore all of that kind of feedback that isn't about accountability, that's just noise, because that's when you start to get too attached to people that would never speak to you if they came across you in public anyway.
Definitely. No, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to navigate. And I can't even, I mean, obviously, I don't have a lot of followers, so I'm sure it's very crazy for you to navigate and for a total different experience. But no, that's awesome. So with the NFL playoffs coming up, obviously you can tell Anthony is a very big Dallas Cowboys fan. I think he just bought that stuff because they usually are losing by now, so he's trying to rep all of his brand new gear.
You know, the pro shop was having a sale. It was, you know, that day after playoff sale, and I went in there and took advantage of it.
Do you have, Joy, do you have like any teams that you're specifically watching, any storylines that you're really paying attention to? Like, is there anybody that you're cheering for? Or
I find the Brock Purdy situation in San Francisco to be really fascinating. Obviously, I live in Hollywood, so it feels almost too crazy to be true.
Disney storyline right here.
That the literal, like, not just a 6th round pick or something, like the literal Mr. Irrelevant is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and they are the best team. Or you can argue the Eagles, obviously, of course, but
don't get Anthony going on that. But
but I mean, they're. I mean, you can't deny how many games they've won, and it's just he's just incredible. I think every team that's left now has an interesting story to them. I was looking at the schedule this weekend, because around this part of the postseason, we start looking at, like, okay, what would be like the worst matchup, you know, for us to cover, like, selfishly, you know, if our teams are out, which obviously, you know, both of my teams are out at this point. And there really isn't a bad one. Like, there's teams that could end up in the Super Bowl that don't have the most stars, but everybody has an interesting layer to them. Like, if the Cowboys made the Super Bowl, first of all, not only would it be complete mayhem, but it would also be kind of, you know, historic because it's been so long. But you know, it would just be mayhem if the Cowboys made the Super Bowl. And,
let's hope that doesn't happen. But
my mom's a Cowboys fan, so I'm very used to that experience. I mean, and then you have the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, and, you know, I think he's just an incredible story, and I love watching him play. You know, you have Mahomes and Burrow, and, you know, is Josh Allen gonna, you know, eventually make it this season? And their season obviously has been, you know, an incredible roller coaster for all kinds of different reasons. So I think we got really lucky as fans. Like, if your team's not in it, it's really a great lineup this weekend, and I think we're going to end up with a pretty awesome Super Bowl, no matter how it turns out.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. Who are your two teams? I know you said they're both out right now. Who are your two teams?
So I grew up in Pittsburgh. So
Okay.
I was born and raised as a Steelers fan, but I've obviously watched the Dolphins and covered the Dolphins for a long time.
Yeah.
And for a while, for the longest time, my move was to like root for the Dolphins early in the season. And then once they were out of it, which was usually pretty early, then I kind of just slide over to my Steelers fandom
Steelers.
because they're always in the postseason. And now as of late, it's kind of been the
Yeah,
other
the
way
other
around.
way.
So
Yeah.
but I like the direction that the Steelers, the end of the season I thought was very positive, even though they didn't make the postseason. Finding out that you have a guy in Kenny Pickett is huge, knowing that you
Yeah.
have somebody that you can build on. Mike Tomlin's obviously an incredible coach. So I think they're going to be much improved next season. Dolphins, I still have a ton of questions about, but what else is new? And yeah, so we're on to next season for both of those teams. But
Okay. Okay. Well, obviously Anthony's a diehard Cowboys fan. I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm a Packers fan, but my childhood team, which I would say is my overall favorite team, is the Titans. So that's kind of who I grew up on. So I had some heartbreak on both of those in the last week of the season, but that's fine. Uh, no hard
There's
feelings
still
here.
room for you to go for the Cowboys this year. There's still some room left on the train.
the
Never.
Cowboys bandwagon is always open. That's why people get so mad at Cowboys fans. Although I will say there are most of the fans that I know that are truly insanely hardcore are Cowboys fans. You guys are very, very loyal.
He's got it tatted on him, so I'll give him that.
I believe
Loyal or stupid? One of the two.
I don't, I think the frustration with the Cowboys is that the Cowboys always seem to get in their own way. Like, I don't think that the Cowboys are a bad team this year. I think they have everything they need to make a Super Bowl run. But I think everyone also feels like they're going to find some way to mess this up. Like, this should be a competitive game this weekend. It's not like the Niners are unbeatable.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the Seahawks made it a game till halftime.
yeah, I don't know about those like to halftime games.
Yeah.
It's like we scored some points though. If it's a game in the last 2 minutes, like all right, but the Seahawks were not on their level. I think that the Cowboys can be, but they just got to play their best game.
Yeah. Dak has to throw to the guys wearing his jerseys. That's gonna be the key, I think.
But I mean, he did bounce back. He having probably one of his worst games against Washington to having a career game. Throwing for 4, running for 1, and just as picture perfect 305 yards as you could get.
He had an awesome game. You can't take that away from him. He and I don't know why that's really that surprising. We've seen Dak have awesome games before. It's just this through the back part of this season, Dak's really turned the ball over a lot. And whether it's his fault or it's, tips, it's the receivers not being, as caring as much about taking care of the ball. I don't know, but I don't think you're going to win like that against San Francisco. If you play the way you played against the Bucs, sure, why not? But
yeah, I think with San Francisco,
the Bucs,
every extra point matters.
The Niners defense is not the Bucs defense.
Yeah. Just got a point, Anthony. Good luck.
Trust me. I am well aware of the odds against us, and
So,
okay.
so Joy, your brother is obviously Hall of Fame defensive end, Jason Taylor. I guess growing up with Jason, like, what was that dynamic like? Was there like sibling rivalry? Like, what was it like to kind of watch him through his career, and what kind of like inspired you, kind of in your career?
Well, he's 12 years older than me,
Mhm.
so I went to all of his college games, and then all but one, and when he went to the league, obviously he was in Miami and I'm in Pittsburgh, and this is 97. So we would travel to see him in the games that were, around the area, and we'd go down, during the holidays or whatever to see him. But our dynamic has changed. Like, as I've gotten older, he was like very, very protective of me when I was a teenager, like very crazy. And then, like, as we have had our best relationship now that I'm, grown, and he's,
Mhm.
he's given up on, trying to tell me what to do all the time, which is fine. Like he was totally right. Like I was a complete nightmare in my early 20s, and he was totally right. Like, I was young and thought I knew everything, and I didn't know anything at all, which sounds like everybody who's young. But he really, one of the things that I learned from watching his career is he's a very intentional person. He and I have a lot in common personality wise, but I am a little more crazy than he is. He's very, very he's very LeBron like with things. Like, like LeBron has done an incredible job with his brands and relationships and whatever you think of LeBron and his career, whether he's the GOAT or not. I think one of the most remarkable things about LeBron is that he has been in the spotlight since he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, who among us could handle that the way that LeBron has? Like, I don't care what kind of critics you are of LeBron, like, just keep it real.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And I think that, on a smaller scale, obviously, Jason has always been very, very taken his job very seriously, and his role in the community very seriously, and his role as a role model very seriously. And I think that's something that definitely stuck with me from watching his career, is just how people respond to, when they got to meet him or work with him, or, even just media guys that would interview him, that he would always take time for people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important, because it's easy to get annoyed, especially, I mean, you're losing games, you're having a rough season, you have something personal going on. It's easy to just allow that to spill over to other people and, affect a relationship, because, you sometimes you only have one opportunity to leave an impression with someone. Mm-hmm. And he was always very intentional about that. So I that's something that I've definitely tried to take with me in my career is, it's not just about treating people well. It's really about taking time to be intentional about things. And that's something that he definitely does.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Did you, I guess, did you grow up playing sports?
Yeah, I ran track and played basketball the longest. I started in like fifth or fifth grade, running track and playing basketball. And then I also played soccer and volleyball in high school. So in high school, I played 4 sports. Oh, and then I ran track my freshman year of college.
Okay. That's awesome. So very athletic.
Not anymore. Now I'm Pilates queen.
Yeah.
But, I tore my ACL playing soccer in a women's league in Miami. I think it was like, I guess it must have been 11 years ago now. Oh my God. Yeah, it was 11 years ago. But I loved soccer. It was my, I don't say it was my favorite sport, but I really did love the physicality of soccer, which sounds kind of funny because people are like, oh, like I flop and whatever. But, if you've ever played soccer, it is a very physical sport. And, I like to talk trash, and, I was a dirty player. So we got some fights.
Were you defense, or where were you on the soccer field?
No, I was a striker.
Okay.
But that didn't stop me from getting into some trouble.
Yeah.
We had a couple bench clearing fights. We weren't that good, but we were like always
just brawled.
It was more fun, Yeah. And then we always get screamed out, like, you guys aren't supposed to be fighting.
Oops. Oh no, that's awesome. I mean, I can kind of relate. I played basketball just for fun, and last year I tore my Achilles twice. Yeah, so it was a fun year of 2 surgeries, so it's a good time. But
never again.
Yeah, I might be done with playing basketball.
Yeah, I've thought, like, I've had thoughts about that every once in a while. I'm like, man, I was in such good shape, and like it's so fun. And then I just think about that ice machine that I got to put on my knee, and driving to rehab 3 times a week on top of your full actual job that you have to do. And if you don't do it, you'll never like walk properly again. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, it sucks. Too much. It is a lot. Well, if you don't mind, can we do a quick like rapid round of questions?
Sure.
So, all right, I'm going to run through some of them are like either ors, and some are like favorites, things like that. But beer or wine?
Wine.
Brats or burgers?
I love brats. I don't eat hot dogs ever, but I'll eat a brat.
Brats.
I'll go burger. I eat burgers more than brats.
Okay. What's your like dream place or like favorite place to travel?
I mean, I love going to Miami. I'm in Miami a lot. But my favorite place so far that I've been, that I traveled to, is Marrakesh in Morocco.
Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite US city?
My
Miami?
favorite, well, yes, I love going to Miami, obviously, but and New York is a favorite too. But really, my favorite place to go is New Orleans.
Okay. Love that. What are you watching right now on Netflix, if anything?
So I just I just randomly started Vikings Valhalla.
Oh, okay. How is it?
It's good. I like it. I
Okay.
just needed something. Like I literally turned on Netflix. I was like, I have like a couple hours to kill. Like, let me find something to watch. I need to like do White Lotus. I'm working
Yeah.
through Succession. Like I have
Oh wow.
those
Yeah, you
shows,
got
like
a
I
list.
know about the shows, but I just wanted something to watch. So, but I'm a couple episodes in on Vikings.
Both of those you
Now, are
listed are
you
very good
someone
shows.
that if you start a series, you have to finish it, or is there something that you started and you're like, yeah, no, this isn't for me?
If I don't like it, I won't finish it. Like I started Emily in Paris and I really liked it. And then the more I kept watching it, I was like, oh, so she just keeps doing dumb stuff every episode. And then that's just what it is. I was like, no, I can't. Like I love the Paris, like I love Paris. I love seeing all of like the French stuff, but I was like, I can't. This girl's making too many bad decisions. I couldn't be friends with her.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Mimosas or Bloody Marys?
I like both, but I can only have one Bloody Mary. And I can drink an unlimited amount of mimosas. So I'll go.
Bottomless mimosa brunches.
Yes.
Skip or Shannon?
Oh no, I can't pick.
All right. I won't. I won't do that. What's your favorite Instagram or Twitter account you follow?
I mean, it's definitely not my favorite, but if I'm going to reveal something about myself, I do follow Dr. Pimple Popper.
Okay.
And I am one of those weirdos that watches like her drain weird gooey stuff out of people's necks.
I can't say I enjoy the same thing as you.
One of my guilty,
a couple
like
miles away from her office, right?
Oh really? I love I have to be in the mood, but like if it's some weird satisfaction to like watch her do it. I don't actually like doing those myself to people. Like some people are like, oh, like please let me pop your pimple. I'm not like I'm like touching people that much. But I like watching that. But my like guilty pleasure on the internet is to see people have these like ridiculous dumbass conversations. Sorry, I don't know if you can curse. Dumb conversations about relationships and then seeing everybody argue in the comments. I never participate, but it's fascinating to me. I'm like, why do you care? It doesn't apply to you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Who's the most famous person in your phone?
So that's kind of unfair because I was a producer for a long time in Miami. So I have a lot of famous people in my phone, but I would never dare call any of them.
Yeah. How many, if you had, let's see, 30, let's say an hour, how many Krispy Kreme donuts do you think you could eat?
3/4 of one. I'm not a big sugar person. I could eat an entire jar of pickles, but it would take me a while to get through a donut.
Ryan Garcia or Tank?
Or Tank?
Gervonta Davis.
Oh, Gervonta Davis. Did they finalize the fights?
I think April 14th, I think.
I saw they were saying that they were going to fight.
Yeah, I think they just announced it.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I think I like Garcia a lot, but I think you got to go with Davis in the first one. But we'll see when we get closer. But I'm glad they're fighting.
It should be interesting. Anthony, we still can't hear you for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I don't know. Ryan Garcia, like he's a fun, flashy guy, but I don't know. I don't think he'll win this one. I think this will be the first guy who kind of smacks him in the mouth.
We'll see. I mean, I obviously styles make fights, so
yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. I like watching him fight. He obviously is like a very, very flashy is a good descriptor of him.
Very flashy, yes.
But when you get with someone scrappy,
yeah,
it can go badly.
Could be interesting. Okay, well, thank you for joining us tonight. We can't hear Anthony, so we'll probably just end this without him. But I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And we're excited to put this out. Best of luck, obviously, in your career the rest of the way. And yeah, thank you for hopping on. We appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, thank you, Joy. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Right.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, now we hear you.
Oh, of course. There we go. Right, Sean. I'm gonna Zelle you $25 or however much the Zoom is to get you going. And will get me better Wi-Fi. I'm actually in a construction area. My son's in boxing practice right here. So.
Oh, nice.
Now he bounces out. Oh well.
All right.
He did that
Thank
to
you.
himself. Thank you, Joy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.